Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League in partnership with Venturi Studios. This is the top tier of the equal performance pyramid for the Invictus Racing League. This is tier 1, coming to you for round number 8 at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, also known as the Temple of Speed. My name is JPH, and joining me as always is Bruce. Good evening, Bruce. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, JPH. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, doing great, thanks. Looking forward to this one. A nice solid 17 drivers hitting the track tonight, so which is it's good to see. Towards the latter end of the season, sometimes you get a bit of drop off, but no, 17 drivers is pretty tidy, and yeah, I'm sure it'll be enough to provide us some pretty exciting action.
Yeah, and obviously this round in particular, it is a sprint evening, which means we're going to have one-shot qualifying, meaning the grid could be literally anything, followed by a 9-lap sprint race and a 27-lap feature race. But Bruce, as we know from Monday, you can have a lot of different weather in this. I mean, we had wet weather in qualifying, dry races, and that can really hinder either your qualifying or your races, depending on which setup you decide to take.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think with us on T3 on Monday, I think it was a little bit more clear cut because the races were due to be dry, so there wasn't really much sort of legs in going with a wet setup. But yeah, it's always good to have a little bit of mixed weather, and yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, we're not going to get mixed weather for the one-shot quali clearly, but yeah, hopefully one of the races might throw up a little bit of precipitation to make it a little bit more exciting.
Absolutely. Now, normally we'd look at maybe going into standings and that, but I think we'll leave it for a little bit because obviously we don't quite know exactly when the drivers are going to get going, and obviously with one-shot qualifying, all of the cars will do their laps at the same time, so unfortunately we can't see everyone in qualifying. We'll just pick a driver, ride on board and go for a lap, and just see how the standings shake out. But we do have ARL full-time now, Bruce, as Ashtube's teammate in the Alfa Romeo department.
Yeah, great to have ARL back full time. And also, not only that, I've also spotted that we've got Nick Houston returning to IRL tonight as well. So yeah, fantastic to have Nick back, I believe. And yeah, good for him to get the full time seat to the end of the season.
Yeah, Nick Houston apparently he hasn't long had the game, so it depends to see how well he's settled into this new game with the new handling model. As we have 10 seconds to go until the start of the one-shot qualification. Monza, 5.793 kilometers, 3.6 miles. We're going to be on board with MDJ. So we cross the line. DRS open as we have this really long stretch down towards the first chicane, braking about 100 meters. Get it right, get it left through the second part, and then bring the throttle in nice gentle, not to upset the rear of the car. Turn 3, Curva Grande, absolutely flat pinned. Keep it to the right hand side for the shortest distance around the lap. Keep it to the right hand side because you're going to be entering the Della Roggia chicanes at turn 4 and 5. Just in front of the 100 meter board, you're hitting the brakes, clip of the curb on each side and use a little bit of curb on the exit. Down towards Lesmo 1, a late apex into Lesmo 1. You've gone a little bit earlier, which you can take. Lesmo 2, definitely one line through there as you just clip the inside, then use all the road on the exit. Through the second of the DRS zones, down the hill under the old curved banking, and then into the infamous Ascari chicane. Again, you don't want to use too much curb on the right hand part of it because it will unsettle the car, but you do want to be flat on the exit because then you have this long straight down to what is now known as, I believe, the curve Alboretta, but it will forever be known to us as Parabolica. Hit the brakes at the 50, just gently slide it in and then try and bring it back to the right hand side for qualifying to keep, again, shortest distance on the line. It is Brando Camerlengo who takes pole position by just 0.01 of a second from Nick Houston, and Joshua Bashford is in third. Unfortunately, ARL had an invalidated lap.
Yeah, a fantastic effort from Brando there. I mean, I think he'll maybe even be a little bit surprised. We know he's quick, but yeah, obviously seeing the usual suspects, Merck down in 7th is a little bit unexpected, and yeah, Luna Driver in 5th as well. So yeah, the top 2 in the championship a little bit further down than expected. But yeah, Nick Houston clearly no issues adapting to the new game.
No, I mean, Bruce, you want to take us through the grid order for the sprint race?
Absolutely. So by a very small 100th of a second is Brando Camalango taking pole from Nick Houston. Bashi and Volcano share the second row with Lerner Driver and Sinoff on the row 3. Merck in 7th, we've got Spook 8th, Jack 9th, Ashtube 10th, Alex in 11th, MDJ 12th, Ginger Tiger 13th, Maggot 14th, and we've got DSQs for Louis, Reshka, and ARL.
Good stuff. Good evening to those who have joined us in the stream. ARL is one of those. Unfortunately, ARL, you weren't the first one out on the circuit because all of you were out at the same time. So, yeah, ARL saying he's still nowhere near as pacey yet, so potentially more things to come. We also have Giuseppe Orsiti, which I believe is Giovi, or it might be Sens from Tier 3. I don't know exactly who it is. But we have a slightly overcast sprint race, obviously only 9 laps, so we're probably expecting soft tyres.
Yeah, I think around the circuit, softs have been the prime choice. I think we have had, I think, over the 2 tiers, maybe 2 drivers so far this week go with mediums, but yeah, the soft tyres are just that much more advantageous pace-wise out of the box that I think I'd be surprised if anyone goes for the mediums in this sprint race. And I also believe that no tyres carry over from this race to the main race, if I'm correct in thinking that.
Yeah, so obviously if you go for the balanced option, you get a set of mediums and a set of softs for the sprint. But they don't carry across into the feature race, which means strategy becomes a little bit more kind of uniform for everyone. But it also kind of mixes up because you do carry your tyres from qualifying across with it, so your soft tyres. So everyone have a set of mediums, a set of hards, and 2 sets of new soft tyres to use in the race. So it does mean strategy comes into play, and it also means you don't particularly want to be stopping in the sprint, but we're going to have the 5 red lights. And we are racing for the Italian sprint race. Who's got the best getaway? It looks like Brando Camalango's done a really good job of getting away. Bashford up into 2nd place. We head to turn 1. Oh, and it looks like there's a McLaren gone straight on. That's Volcano. Meanwhile, as we skip back through the field, got a yellow flag. That'll be for the McLaren, who's making sure he doesn't come on in front of anyone. It looks like otherwise a fairly clean getaway from everyone as Reshka and ARL running side by side near the back of the pack. That's for 15th place. Alex down the inside of Merck through the De La Roche. Oh, and there's a spinner. We got spooked round.
Yeah, not sure what happened there with Gospel. It looked like he may have taken a bit too much curve, got a little bit sideways, and I think the car behind kind of had nowhere to go, unfortunately. So, yeah, disaster there for the AlphaTauri driver. And we've got ARL in the gravel at the first Lesmo as well.
Not a good start then for ARL, or got spooked then. Nor Volcano. I can only assume that Volcano maybe just took to that runoff to avoid a collision on the entry, because it's very easy to get caught up as everyone closes in together. Nick Houston has lost a place to Stinos, so he's now down to 4th. But it's quite interesting. We got 3 drivers on the medium tyres as Merck's trying to overtake Jack. Does so in the Mercedes, but on the main straight.
Yeah, I think this is actually Jack attacking Merck. I think Jack's been behind Merck from the start. So, yeah, even though he's on the medium tyres, he's got a great run out of Parabolica there. And it looks like, I don't know, he might not quite get it done here because Merck's going to have the grip out of the chicane. And behind him, Ashtube's looking to get involved as well.
Nice move then from Jack up into 7th in the Alpine. He is reserving tonight. And Ashtube not able to yet find a gap to get past the Mercedes of Merckx. Nick Houston is closing, he's just hovering over that 1 second at the moment for Stinos. Stinos has been catching Joshua Bashford. Volcano has been in the pits, which is not ideal because that's a set of soft tyres used up in this sprint race. He's had to go on to another set.
Yeah, I wonder whether maybe he did outbrake himself slightly into someone, and even though he's done his best to avoid, he has maybe clipped the back end of the car in front and obviously broken his wing.
Meanwhile, at the
Obviously being that.
front, Joshua Bashford down the inside of Brando Camalengo into Parabolica. He's into the lead, and he's got to use the advantage now of those soft tyres. He's going to have to build the gap, although it looks like Camalengo's got a really nice run coming out of Parabolica. We've got a yellow flag. That is Maggot in the Red Bull. I think he's gone round. DRS enabled. As Bashford defends the position now into turns 1 and 2 at the first chicane. Does so successfully and uses the grip of the softs on the way out. Meanwhile, Nick Houston is looking to now overtake Stinos through Curva Grande. If he can get to the outside, I'll give him the inside for the Della Roggia chicane. Inside he's got. They're going to go side by side. Oh, and Stinos has to go off the circuit. But Nick Houston was ahead at the time. There's a very awkward corner, is the Della Roggia, to try and go side by side through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you say, it looked like Nick Houston very much had that move made at the point that Stinos had to sort of cut across the chicane. But Brando Camalengo right on the back of Bashi, but choosing not to overtake. So he's clearly going to use the DRS down the main pit straight, feeling that obviously if he was going to make the move into a Ascari, he's just going to get the get overtaken again here. But yeah, right up the back end of Bashi. And yeah, here we go. I think it's going to be a pretty simple overtake for Brando now.
So the Alpine sizing one up. We did also see Learner Driver get past Stinos on the run up to Ascari around the outside of the first part of Ascari. But here comes Camalengo with the DRS. Nice and easy move into turn 1. And you just get the feeling these two at the front are going to keep leapfrogging each other. And it's going to keep everyone in the train behind very close. As it looks like we've got 3 wide coming out of the first chicane. Merck, Jack and Alex, and Merck's the big winner as he goes up into 6th place.
Yeah, Jack putting Alex under pressure. Alex then locked up into turn 1, and he's had a big lock up again there into the second chicane. So a bit of a disaster. He's clearly struggling on those brakes at the moment in the Red Bull. But it sort of compromised himself and Jack and just allowed Merck down the left-hand side of both of them.
Good stuff then. So Merck's being ever opportunistic as he is. Just a reminder, for the sprint race, for equal performance, the top 5 score points. 5 if you win, 1 if you're 5th. So at the moment, Merck is outside of those points, and Learner Driver, who, as Bruce spots something very close.
Sorry, yeah, I was on board with Alex, trying to stick with the back of Jack, and Jack's had a huge wobble midway through the second part of Ascari. Did very, very well to hold it, but yeah, looking a little bit wobbly at the moment, that Alpine, as it stands. But I think Alex is going to get the move done now into turn 1 as well.
Back at the front, Bashford to the inside, Nick Houston looking to follow him. 2 Harris. Remember, Nick Houston isn't actually part of the House team. It's a little bit of contact, which makes Bashford slide a little through the second part of the corner. Here comes Nick Houston to the inside. Can he get the run? Doesn't look like he can. And it looks like Brando Camalengo is actually going to go back in front of Bashford. And the 2 Hasses are now side by side through the Della Roggia chicane. Nick Houston into the gravel. Here comes Learner Driver. He's looking to capitalise. There's a Merck in the background all over the outside. Somehow Merck's now up into 3rd place. Learner Driver in 4th. And it's all hell breaking loose in the sprint.
Yeah, I was just... it sounds chaotic at the front. I was a little bit further back with the likes of MDJ, Ginger Tiger and Jack. And it was carnage. People were getting boxed in left, right and centre. And yeah, MDJ's managed to make a few places up in the space of 2 corners. So yeah, this is starting to get a bit tasty now. Brando's got, after all that, now got a very nice, healthy lead at the front. You feel that anyone now could be fighting for 2nd, all the way down to sort of 10th place, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, that all kind of started with the front 3 fighting it through the Della Roggia chicane. Alex is out. That's a Parabolica. We're not quite going to get a chance to see that, I think, because I think his car get removed before Volcano arrives on the scene. But well, that's unfortunate for Camalengo, because obviously he had that little bit of a lead. Merck obviously got up into 2nd. But yeah, I wonder what happened. I wonder if that's a twitch. I mean, you were saying that Alex has had a bit of a twitchy car so far. I'm not quite sure why he's left the session either, because he's got a feature race still to do.
Yeah, he had been struggling with stopping the car, so I don't know whether or not maybe he has other issues somewhere along the line. But yeah, as I suspected, Volcano is coming in the pits to put on what I believe will be a new set of tyres. Whether he goes, I don't know if he has another set of softs for the sprint. I don't think he will. I'm wait to be proven wrong. He does have a new set of softs for the sprint. Apologies. So I'm expecting Maggot is going to do the same as well. It could be quite tasty to see Volcano coming through the field here through the last couple of laps, if he can catch the back of the field in the next. Well, yeah, shouldn't have too many problems because the leader has not picked up the safety car yet. So, yeah, 2-lap sprint,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the only problem is I think they're still going to be under a delta. So I don't know if it'll allow them to actually catch up to the back of the pack quick enough, because normally in this sort of situation, the game will release the safety car quite early, regardless if the pack is actually together or not. So
we got people pitting from the front of the field. So MDJ is doing the same as well. Reska, Stinos got
I think
spooked.
Stinos has damage.
Okay, so I mean, he did go off, didn't he, at the second chicane? So, and yeah, they are changing a front wing on that Mercedes. It does look as though, well, Maggot seems to have some sort of delta. Volcano is driving absolutely flat out at the moment, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But yeah, it's going to be touch and go, isn't it, as to whether or not they can actually get round in time.
Yeah, and the problem is they're going to have to go flat out, which means that in reality, those that are immediately ahead of them are going to have much nicer tyres anyway, because they're going to put a lap's worth of wear at least on those tyres, just trying to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of unavoidable, I suppose. But yeah, the safety car now at the second Lesmo. I'm also expecting, we have seen this week, some incredibly late safety car releases this week, so I say. So I'm not expecting too much different here, although having said that, with it only being a couple of laps to the end, it may be a bit more clear cut as it is there as they hit Ascari. But yeah, I don't think that Volcano and Maggot are going to catch the back of this pack. In fact, it's even looking iffy for Stinos at the back.
I think Stinos will, because Brando will obviously now control the pace, but I think Volcano is going to be nowhere near the back of the pack here. So it's one of those hindsight things, isn't it, really? But we're on board with Camerlengo. When does he go? He's not going to go yet. Still not going to go. We're going to have a late go here for the line. Now he goes, just as they go past the safety car line. And it's a good restart from Camerlengo, but is it good enough as we head up towards turn 1? It looks like it might be. It wasn't a good enough start, though, from Joshua Bashford, who's coming under fire from learner driver into turn 1. As I say that, Bashford's cut both parts of the chicane. And wisely, as he gets back up to speed and gets his tyres clean, gets out of the way of the field, that is good driving from him. Learner driver's also fallen to the back of the pack, so that's unfortunate to be caught up in that.
There was contact at the back there. Learner driver, I think, got turned around from what I could see. So, yeah, disaster there for the McLaren team at the moment. It's not going quite to plan. Nick Houston dropping down. We've got cars inside other cars and all sorts at the moment. So
yeah, I was going to say outside there. Jack went pretty much through Nick Houston, and then I'm pretty certain he just went kind of like through Ginger Tiger, but I don't know if Ginger Tiger made a slight mistake. Side by side between Nick Houston and MDJ. Nick Houston holding on, and here comes the Ferrari of Louis to overtake MDJ. 3 wide almost as the two Williams are attacking, along with Stinos. Stinos now to the inside of Louis in the Ferrari. Louis runs off wide. That's not going to help him. He's going to lose a place to Reshka. He's going to come under threat from Ginger Tiger as well. Meanwhile, at the front, looks like Jack is looking for a move on Ashtube.
Yeah, Jack is all over him, but Ashtube managing to hold in front, but Jack up the inside now into turn 1. And yeah, I don't think he's going to get it done, actually. I think Ashtube's going to get some good traction out of this chicane, and off he goes. MDJ could be staring at a third place here with those fresh tyres.
Yeah, he's now on the back of Nick Houston. Looked to the inside, but it wasn't quite going to work, and it's pretty costing a bit of time. As Got Spooked and Louis were side by side through the Delarage chicane. So Louis got a nice pinching from Got Spooked on the apex of the second part. But back at the front, we got a spinner!
And he's off.
Jack is out of the race. Front right corner has decided it no longer wants to be attached. Up towards Ascari and MDJ. Oh, as I say that, Reshko almost decided to pull a move off on Stinos into the entry of Ascari. In fact, he will pull the move off through Ascari. We've now got a yellow flag at Ascari. That's for Ginger Tiger, who's gone round.
Brando looking like he's going to get this done around the final corner.
It is. It's amazing. It's already the finish of the race. Brando Camalango wins from Merck. Ashtube. We'll come back to that. Ashtube just about beats Nick Houston to the line. MDJ 5th, Reshka 6th. Stinos will be in 7th. Lerner Driver in 8th. ARL 9th. Bashford in 10th. They're going to have Ginger Tiger in 11th. Volcano 12th. And I don't know what happened to Got Spooked and Louis, but I'm guessing contact in the final corner.
Yeah, both cars were well off the circuit on the outside, so I assume that someone has spun, very much like in Tier 3, someone spun and then they've been collected. But obviously we only really caught the remnants of that. But yeah, a pretty incredible race that. That was pretty much non-stop action from the start.
Yes, and if that's anything to go by for the main race, we're going to have a very good long feature race here.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, those 9 laps went by incredibly quickly. And yeah, some really, really good driving from some of the guys there.
Bruce, would you like to take us through the results of the sprint and the grid for the feature?
Absolutely. So yeah, converting his pole position into the sprint race win is Brando Camalango in the Alpine with Merck going up 5 places there to 2nd in the sprint. Ashtube, an excellent result, 10th on the grid to 3rd with Nick Houston 4th. MDJ 5th from 12th place with Reshka 6th from 16th in general. 11th, Volcano 12th, Maggot 13th, and the DNFs are Got Spooked, Louis, Jack, and Alex.
So there you go, an exciting sprint race. Hopefully that foreshadows what's going to happen in the main. Tyre strategy is going to be an interesting one. We've seen all sorts of tyre strategies this week in terms of medium to soft, soft to medium, soft to hard. We've seen, and even medium to hards. So hopefully we get that same sort of diversity in terms of strategy. Because in all fairness, the tyres, they're not too dissimilar in pace. It is just pure traction coming out of the corners.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a tricky one, really. The game itself, or the strategy in the game, suggests a soft to a medium run. I mean, a lot of people prefer to go medium to soft rather than the other way around. But I think we have yet this week to see a standard strategy play out, because there's been so many safety car interruptions in Tier 3 and Tier 2 that all 3 compounds of tyres have made an appearance at some point during the last couple of days.
So what we're basing then is right now we're at 100% safety car probability. I mean, we've already had one in the sprint. So
it's quite likely. Yeah, it is, and the thing is, the pace these guys are going at, obviously they're very, very quick, but as we saw with Jack there at the end, it was just a very slight mistake, just slightly on the throttle a bit too much as he was dropping off the curve there at the exit of the second Lesmo. And that was it, and there's nothing you can do about it at that sort of particular point on the circuit. So, I mean, fingers crossed, obviously, we like to have as many cars in the race as we possibly can for as long as we possibly can to keep the racing exciting. But I think tonight round here, safety cars are quite inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other thing as well, I mean, it looks like most of the drivers have gone similar sort of downforce setups as well. I wouldn't have said anyone was really that much quicker than anyone else in the straight line as well, which is also good to see. Because it means hopefully no one will get really left behind in the straights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in one-shot quali, there were definitely a couple of guys who were making up places in the straights. Um, but it's always hard to know with one-shot quali because it is just that. You make a slight mistake and that can affect your run onto the next straight. So hard to really read anything into that. But yeah, I mean, the racing was super close there when people weren't hitting things and hitting other cars and losing bits of wing. So yeah, hopefully that bodes well for the race. Merckx is looking pretty ominous there, getting up to second after qualifying a bit lower than he'd normally expect to. Um, but yeah, Brando clearly got the pace at the front to be able to fight with the Mercedes, and I think there's a couple of other guys in that sprint which showed they can be up there. It's just getting that sort of clean getaway and sort of bedding themselves into the race. But it is one of those races where, even though it's fast and furious, you've also got to be a little bit patient at times.
So here we go. We have the 5 red lights once again, and we are racing for the Italian Grand Prix. Question is, who's going to have the better getaway? It looks like Brando Camalengo's had another good getaway off the line. And as we enter turn 1, are we going to be clean once again? Lots of side-by-side action through the first turn. It looks like we're going to get through pretty clean here, which is good to see. And it is going to be Camalengo who leads from Merck to Ashtube, under real threat from Nick Houston. Coming down towards the Della Rocha chicane. I did see Merck look like he was going to poke his nose into the second chicane, but thought better of it. Stinos has gone round. He took a bit too much speed into the Della Rocha, and unfortunately the sausage curbs on the runoff spinning him around. But everyone in a nice little line here, and a very good getaway from the field.
Yeah, absolutely. As expected, Alex is currently the ghost of Alex at the moment in 16th, so Stinos should clear him pretty soon. But yeah, not a great start for the Mercedes driver there of Stinos. But yeah, as I said, you've got to be patient and sort of bed yourself back into this race now. And he's still on the back of the train, so fingers crossed he can get himself a bit further up. But yeah, very good driving at start. Everyone super cautious into turn 1. As we've got Spook looking down the inside of Bashi right now. It's very tight, and ARL and ARL and Learner Driver having a battle as well.
Yeah, both making moves. Learner Driver up to 7th, got Spooked up to 9th. And we were saying about potential for diverse strategies, and we'd certainly have that here. We have a lot of people who's got Spooked down the inside of ARL. A little bit of contact. Luckily, ARL gets away with it, but he does lose a spot to Bashford. We have 3 people on the softs, got Spooks, Ginger Tiger, Volcano. We have 5 people on the hards, which is Merckx, Nick Houston, MDJ, Stinos, and Maggot. And the rest of the field on mediums. So we've kind of got our wish in terms of all 3 tyres being in play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one, the guys going for the hards from the offset, because as you said before, you don't get a second set of mediums. So if there is an early safety car, it kind of leaves them a little bit vulnerable as to whether or not they can go long on a set of mediums to the end of the race. So it is a risky strategy from my point of view, but yeah, we'll be interested to see how that plays out as the race progresses. But yeah, luckily so far, everyone's had a clean start and no safety cars just yet.
I mean, I guess you have to think most of the drivers here are going on the basis that it's tier 1. There shouldn't be, in the way, really too much safety car disturbance. As Volcano gets past ARL. I thought Learner Driver was about to make a move on Reshka. So got Spooked, has a little nose down the inside, but thinks better of it. I guess these guys are thinking it's tier 1. There shouldn't be as much safety car disruption as there are in the lower tiers. So I can only assume that's what they're thinking by starting on the hards.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense in that respect, but we have seen, most of the actual incidents in the sprint race were sort of solo, most of them, to be honest. So, yeah, whilst obviously they're racing, they're going to be, quite aware of each other and very spatially aware. It has been a lot of sort of individual mistakes which have caused issues. As I'm looking back in Jack, not making the same mistake this time, running wide out of the second Lesmo, which has given Louis a run up to Ascari, and there was a bit of contact coming into Ascari there between the two, and Louis given not not too much room there from Jack. But yeah, Jack nearly making the same mistake as he did in the sprint now, but luckily rejoining with no issues.
Lunar Driver goes down to 8th, has got spooked on those soft compound tyres, trying to make headway through the field. He's up to 7th. The DRS is now available, and Nick Houston making use of his as he goes past Ashtube.
And Mercked into the lead as well.
And there you go. So, I mean, this kind of shows that if there's no safety cars, that hard tyre decision may pay off, because it is very clear that there isn't a lot of difference between the mediums and the hards in terms of overall pace. But it's whether when Brando comes in, whether that's maybe potential undercut will be strong enough to kind of fend off Merckx when he comes in the pits and kind of like tries that overcut.
Yeah, you'd have to think the undercut will be, I don't say powerful, but it will be significant enough to make a difference. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see, how that plays out between the two guys on the different compounds. But yeah, as you say, they're relying very much on there not being a safety car. Whereas you'd have to say Got Spooked, Ginger Tiger and Volcano are currently running this based on the fact they think there might be a safety car. So yeah, it is interesting to see everyone's different sort of thought processes on this.
And I'm liking that very different line from Reshko through Parabolica. He doesn't go wide out. He doesn't take what I would say is the normal racing line. Is here comes Camalengo to the inside and back to the front of the pack. Well, that looks like Nick Houston was a little bit deep going into the first chicane. He's going to allow Ashtube a potential opportunity, along with MDJ, who's stuck with that Alfa Romeo, sorry. But no moves quite yet, no doors open. Got Spooked down the inside, not quite going to happen. Reshka shows him where the door is and slams it right in his face.
Yeah, he's had a few little noses down the inside so far. Got Spooked. He's trying to scare his opponents out the way, I think, at the moment. But yeah, he's leaving just enough in the tank that he can get out of it. If he's not happy, he's going to make it down. So yeah, being sort of aggressive, but also a little bit patient at the moment as it is. But he's not had a good run through Ascari there. I think this is going to give Lerner Driver a run on him out of the chicane there, down towards Parabolica.
Here comes the McLaren. I think Lerner Driver may not bother on this one, just on the off chance that he causes them to lose DRS to Reshko, because that would not be a good thing. But it looks like he's on the battery. DRS now open, and through goes the McLaren. Is he going to look for a move on Reshko as well? He's trying to get into the slipstream of the Williams. He looks to the inside, thinks better of it. Ashtube and MDJ were fighting just up ahead. They're still side by side. Out of the first chicane, obviously Merckx has retaken the lead, as we probably expect. They're going to be playing a lot of leapfrog at the front of the pack. And it looks like MDJ may just keep his nose in front as we head into the Della Roggia chicane, and he will complete the move under the brakes into turns 4 and 5. So MDJ looking strong in the early phase of this race.
Yeah, Nick Houston doing a great job here of keeping up with Merckx and Brando at the front, keeping himself well in the game. He got a yellow flag, I think might be someone. I think it might have been Louis. I'm pretty sure I saw him drop a couple of places, so whether he's just run wide out the chicane there, perhaps, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Nick Houston is sticking with the guys in front, and he'll be pleased with that on his return, I think. MDJ, this is the problem now for MDJ. He's outside that DRS. Okay, he's catching him by a small amount up to this point on the lap, but he's going to lose all that gain now on this straight, and he'll probably have Ashtube having a go at him as well, potentially into turn 1.
Here comes Camalengo. To say, a bit more leapfrog at the front, and the nice thing for these two at the front is that they keep getting enough of a gap out of Parabolica. As Lerner Driver to the inside, potentially of Reshka. No, he thinks better of it on the entry of the chicane. But yeah, the nice thing for the top two is they keep getting enough of a gap to Nick Houston on the exit of Parabolica that they can play this leapfrog game and not be under threat from Nick Houston overtaking them still.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's key. But, saying that, MDJ as well is now within the DRS of Nick Houston. So we've got a lot of cars here in a DRS train. Basically,
Top
as
10.
long as Rashka can stick within, yeah, all the way down to 10th place at the moment.
Stinos has got past ARL. So Stinos looking to continue making moves up through the field as, interestingly, Merck has decided to overtake Camerlengo up towards Ascari this time.
Yeah, perhaps seeing that the other guys are coming, maybe he was worried that if he backed off, it would be a few more attempts gained for Nick Houston there behind him. So he's felt the need to get this done, but Brando obviously sticking behind Parabolica through that DRS line. And yeah, this is basically a game of DRS chicken at the moment. Luckily, no one doing any silly moves before that DRS line, but it's going to be, as you say, backwards and forwards here as Brando retakes the lead with a traditional standard DRS at Monza overtake. It's going to be a bit like this for quite some time.
Everyone else is just playing follow the leader right now in that DRS train. It's so hard to overtake someone. I mean, unless you have a significantly different aero setup, I think it's all going to be the exit out of the first chicane, as Lerner Driver is showing as he's pulling alongside the Williams down to the Della Roger chicane. Can he complete the move? He's on the inside. Space given, just about. The driver did go over the curb there to almost complete the move, but I don't think he really had much of a choice. He's got Spook now down the inside of Reshka, trying to almost bully his way through. And he does finally get the move done on the exit of Lesmo 1. Oh, as Lerner Driver almost lights the rears up on the exit of Lesmo 2.
Yeah, good save that from Lerner Driver. I thought he was going to go then. The only problem is all this battling has kind of gapped over. Ashtube in 5th now, 1.5 seconds off of MDJ. And Lerner Driver a second behind Ashtube, so this 10-car DRS train has very much been broken up down the middle, just from that, one moment of battling between a couple of guys, and that's it. That's all it takes, and now it's going to be difficult for these guys to get back in that DRS.
Lerner Driver has managed to get back within a second of Ashtube. He won't have DRS on this occasion compared to Got Spooked, as Merckx does the usual down the main straight. Here comes Spooked. And it's a bit of an easier move, you'd have to think, because Lerner Driver suffering with some ERS battery usage. Although it was a good defence from the McLaren to get the first chicane. Hung it around the outside of the first part, kept the inside for the second, and all room was given. But how long can he keep this up for with the lack of ERS charge he's got in that car? As Got Spooked this time goes down the inside, almost a bit of contact. I think there was a tap of contact there. They're still side by side. Up towards Lesmo 1, and Gospik does make the move eventually. And it looks like Bashford has gone down the inside of Reshka for 8th place into Lesmo 1 as well. This little group of cars really battling as Bashford now picks up 3 seconds of time penalties for track limits. He almost lost the rear end, I think, as well, out of Lesmo 2.
Yeah, it was sensible then from Bashy. He was coming out of the chicane and did have a run into Lesmo 1 on the guys in front, but he was at risk of making it almost 4 wide going into Lesmo 1. Backed out a bit, let the guys in front have a little bit of contact, and then snuck down the inside of Reshka to take the place. But as you say, Dan, he's made the mistake out of Lesmo 2, got the 3-second penalty, and just been retaken by the Williams driver. So yeah, no real gains unfortunately after that. It was smart driving, but yeah, nothing gained. And just the 3 seconds, unfortunately, now onto his race time.
Here comes Volcano. Are we going to see 3 wide into the first chicane? No, Volcano thinks, I'm not getting involved in that sort of manoeuvre. He knows that can only spell trouble if you try and make it 3 wide into that first chicane. Back at the front, Brando Camerlengo leads the way for Merckx. So they keep playing leapfrog, although this time Nick Houston is still... He's a bit closer than he was before. And MDJ is right on the back now of this little train of 3. Further behind, you've got the train of Ashtube with Gotspook, Lerner Driver, Reshka, Bashford, Volcano. So the question is, can that little train start to catch the leading train?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, Ashtube now a long way back, 4 seconds from MDJ. It's a pretty serious amount of time. Don't know if this is a sign of the mediums maybe starting to suffer compared to those hard tyres. Having said that, Gotspook on the softs does still seem to have some good pace at the moment. considering those softs are probably getting to a point of pretty serious wear.
And the leapfrog continues. Mercked in front of Camerlenga.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
the only driver
Ashtube.
just got past, got spooked and Ashtube as well at exactly the same time. So, and we see now Volcano and Ginger Tiger into the pits on those soft tyres.
I mean, one probably quite important thing right now, and it's something we've not really discussed too much, is the ERS around this course, because it is easy to get back ERS around here when you're following a car in front of you. However, when you're the lead car and you're burning the ERS, you burn it a lot quicker than you think, and then it's harder to get it back to a level where you can then defend again.
Yeah, it's hard to regen as Brando runs slightly wide through second Lesmo. It's going to drop him quite a way back, but I think now he is burning his ERS to try and catch back up with Merckx, which is obviously the right thing to do. But yeah, as you say, difficult around a circuit to regen that battery, so that, to use further on, especially if you are trying to stay ahead of the guys behind with that DRS advantage.
And the driver picks up 3 seconds for track limits. His third offence there coming through Ascari. I'm sure we're going to see yet another leapfrog move for the lead. The Alpine closes up. Goes to the inside of tail. This is not going to be as simple as before. He does manage to get back in line, but it wasn't exactly a smooth overtake and smooth line into that first corner. Camerlenga was slightly compromised with being that slightly bit tighter and having to kind of have that change of direction on entry.
Maggot has retired. So Maggot picked up a 5-second penalty on the way in and has DNF, so obviously he feels he's had enough tonight, which is a big shame. It's a long way to go in the race, and points were still potentially on the cards. Got spooked, has obviously pitted now from softs to his new set of mediums as well, and he's come out just ahead of Volcano. So yes, this battle will continue to rage between these two guys, and we've got a yellow flag set to 1 that I think
that's just for
Maggot's car. Yeah, DNFing. So,
but if that yellow flag stays there, that could be quite an important factor in this leapfrog game between the top two. And Joshua Bashford has left the session. He has had a disconnection, and I don't think I can invite him because I don't think I've got him as an EA friend.
No, unfortunately, I'm joining you in that as well. I don't have him either. So yeah, big shame. Hopefully, you can get back in one way or another. It's a big shame. He's had a good race so far, Bashy. So yeah, a bit of a disaster for him. The battle's still raging at the front though. We've still got this 4-car pack. Nick Houston did drop back a few attempts, but he's back now within striking distance of Brando Camerlenga. It could just be these 4 guys, I think, pretty much all race doing this, I reckon.
I mean, if you're Camerlenga, what do you do here? Do you go to round lap 16, 17, come in for soft tyres, hope that the hard tyres around you pit later and go for that undercut? Surely that's the way forward, because obviously the softs will do the lappage, and as the fuel burns, it should be easier for them to do the laps that the likes have got spooked on.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's not going to want to go onto the hard tyres now. I think it's too late really to be doing that. So I would have thought he would try and stick this out on the basis that he's managing to stick with the guys on the hards as well. It gives him that sort of option, doesn't it, to go to those softs and go longer as long as he can stick with these guys. As soon as he feels like he's struggling to keep up with them, then he can he comes in at exactly the same time as Merck and hits the back of Merck and loses a bit of end plate.
So that's not ideal for Camerlenga. It's a really horrible little pit lane entry for Monza. How much that end plate is going to affect that car? I mean, it's going to affect it through Ascari, but whether he can live with it through Ascari and just keep up with Merck, we shall only see. But it's interesting that he's gone to the hard compound tyre.
Yeah, very interesting decision. I think it's going to be particularly horrible on the hard tyres with no end plate. Obviously, the pit crew did not change that damaged wing on that pit stop, so yeah, a bit of a nightmare. It's going to really hamper his race, I think.
Yeah, it's not the easiest pit lane here in Italy because it is a pretty sudden stop, and you don't really get much of a pit lane entryway as such. It's just a peel off and hit the brakes. But the question is, how long does Nick Houston and MDJ stay out now? I mean, we know the mediums will probably do 16 laps, so they're definitely in that window to put on the mediums. Or are they potentially going to do the opposite to Merckx and look to go for the soft tyre?
Well, here's your answer. Nick Houston in the pits. MDJ was looking to go to the pits, but changed his mind. So he continues as the ghost of Alex emerges in the pit lane next to him. But yeah, so MDJ may be thinking, I'm going to do something different here to what everyone else has done.
I mean, you get a sense as Learner Driver has gone to the soft compound tyre. He's the first person to pit going onto the softs. Got Spooked setting the fastest lap of 1:21.818 on the mediums. It would make sense for MDJ to go softs because he has had the pace in this race. It does make complete sense for the Williams driver to try a slightly different strategy and have more grip at the end. And it looks like actually Nick Houston has overtaken Camerlengo. The damage that wing is doing to Camerlengo's race, and he'll be desperately hoping for a safety car to be able to get in and change that wing.
Yeah, Nick came out the pits pretty much side by side with Brando, very Max and Lewis from a few years back. But yeah, I think as you say, Brando now within the space of 2 laps, he's dropped 2.1 seconds to Merckx, and clearly it's a struggle. MDJ now in the pit, so yeah, here we go. It'll be interesting to see what the Williams driver goes for.
16 laps. I'd say the softs would make the end of this race. And it looks like it's going to be the mediums. Yeah, so medium tyres for the Williams. Maybe looking so that you can just push on. Where does he come out? ARL. There goes Merckx. He's going to have Louis. There's Nick Houston. There's Camerlengo. Got Spooked. He's going to get ahead of Got Spooked. So it's an okay position this for MDJ, but this undercut from Merckx has worked a treat.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously now Nick Houston has to get past Louis, who actually looking at that, you'd expect Louis to be making a pit stop pretty soon. Well, basically he's gone this far on the mediums. I think Louis would be coming in for a set of softs, but he's been battling down with Jack for most of the race towards the tail end of the field, so shouldn't come into play in the long run, other than how long does he hold up Nick Houston.
We have a yellow flag. That is Jack, I think, who's potentially gone straight on at the chicane or spun it there, and he's picked up a 3-second time penalty for track infringements. Meanwhile, Merckx has got past ARL, pretty standard procedure you'd have to think. And it used to past Louis. Brando Camerlengo, the next to come across the Ferrari. Ashtube doing a slightly different strategy as well. He's continuing on those mediums. Stinos now in the pits. Surely he's going to go soft tyres at this late in the race. As in comes ARL. Oh, and it looks like Louis having to take slight avoiding action to make sure he didn't slam into the back of the Alfa Romeo ahead of him.
Yeah, interestingly, that was a set of mediums for Stinos rather than the softs. So no one fancying the softs at the end from some of the guys. ARL and Louis now switching to the soft tyres. Yeah, quite interesting stuff. This is shaping up nice for Merckx. I wonder if Ashtube is trying to drag this out in the sheer hope of a safety car to allow him to pit and get a slightly cheaper pit stop.
Well, that is one way of getting about it, and he is behind Alex's Ghost, which means if he kind of semi-stays behind it, although I don't think he will manage it, he'll get DRS. I think he's going to play this really well here as Ashtube, because if he stays behind him on the entry to Parabolica, nope, he's gone past. I was going to say,
all best plans.
Yeah, I was going to say he could have potentially sat behind Alex. It would have cost maybe a couple of tenths to sit behind, although he's coming in the pits anyway, and he's picked up a 5 second.
That's a disaster for Ashtube. So yeah, that's going to cement his position slightly further down the order than he'd like to be. So yeah, this is now.
Brando Camalengo back in the pits, probably just to change that front wing and go on the soft tyres for a bit of fun now.
Yeah, a big shame for Brando. He had the pace for a race win tonight, I think, and just that one small mistake, breaking that a little bit too late. Mert being the car in front, I don't know, he may have played it safe going in the pits, but he's perfectly entitled to do that. And yeah, a bit of a disaster for Brando as it's now seen he's down in 14th place, and he's going to need a safety car now to try and rescue this race for him.
Absolutely. Further down, we got Reshka with Ginger Tiger. Now, Ginger Tiger had quite an early stop. He stopped on lap 11 for his mediums. He's behind Reshka. I think Reshka probably pulling away from him on those newer hard tyres. At least he should be anyway. If he's not, then Ginger Tiger's doing a fantastic effort. Meanwhile, near the front, MDJ with Got Spooked just behind him. As they're catching up to Nick Houston in their task. 2.2 seconds. MDJ from Nick Houston. Of course, when they come, and the question is, will Got Spooked have a look? He's going to poke the nose out, but once again, he's not quite close enough. And slots back in. And you have to feel that sometimes that is probably costing Got Spooked a bit of time and potentially allowing Learner Driver to get this overtake done with those soft tyres.
Yeah, and as you say that, here comes the McLaren drivers. Some pretty superior grip on those soft tyres. And that's a pretty easy move done by the McLaren. He's now going to be chasing MDJ. It'd be interesting to see how much of a difference the 2 laps between MDJ and Merck's mediums make.
That's
I don't know if
great move from Ashtube. Ashtube going around the outside of Reshka through the second part of the Della Roggia chicane to pick up 7th. Obviously, he's got 10.1 to Volcano, so he's going to have to push on a little bit because he wants to get 5 seconds to Reshka because of that speeding in the pit lane penalty.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be his target now, isn't it? I think 10 seconds is fairly unrealistic to expect him to catch that. We've seen stranger things, though. Unfortunately, Bashi has left the session completely. So, yeah, big shame there for the Haas again. So, this is shaping up really. I don't know if MDJ is going to be able to make enough of an imprint on the 2 guys in front, but it's a hell of a battle going on for 3rd place now. Obviously, Learner Driver, I believe that's a 3-second penalty.
Yes.
So he's going to need to try and get past MDJ and scoot up the road, but easier said than done around here with that DRS.
Yeah, absolutely, and it wonder if Learner Drivers can get past MDJ with the grip of those soft tyres. Can Learner Driver maybe drag everyone to the back of Nick Houston just from that grip and then pulling everyone with that DRS? We saw it on Monday where someone with a slightly quicker pace, maybe slightly nicer tyres, can drag people up to the next car, especially if the next car doesn't have any DRS.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can make a huge difference. Looking at this as well, now Nick Houston is starting to take a little bit of time out of Merck, and he's getting very, very close to being within that 1 second. He's not going to be quite there at the end of this current lap, but looking at the way this is going, he could well be there by the time they get to the DRS on the run up to Ascari.
I think I did see that the light on the back of the Haas was flashing, so what that says to me is Nick Houston could see that MDJ and Learner Driver were starting to eat into his gap, and he thought, I need to let's check without a front wing out of Ascari. Lucky not to DNF, really. That's normally a good place to take your will off. But yeah, it makes me wonder if Nick Houston has gone, I need to get into the window of Merck to stop, to just basically ensure that there is no attack from behind.
Yeah, you could well be right there. obviously, at the moment, I just imagine Merck will be trying to save as much ERS as he possibly can. But yeah, here we go. Wing is open on the Haas of Nick Houston, and this is going to bring him right up to the back of Merck, heading towards the end of lap 21.
So the question is, will Nick Houston have enough pace? Because we saw before he didn't quite have enough pace to follow either Mert or Brando Camalango through when they had DRS. The question is, how much can he close up on his own when it's 1 versus 1? 5/10 the gap as the DRS opens. That is now going to close. And it looks like not enough. Which says to me Nick Houston may be running slightly higher wings because he just does not possess that high top end speed in comparison to Mert.
Yeah, may stand him in good stead though if you can stick closer to him now. If you can get close coming out of Parabolica, I think it will not make too much difference. As Jack, they're doing a great job there of just moving out the way under the blue flags. Not quite gone to plan for the Alpine driver tonight, but fair play to him, still continuing in the race, even though he's outside the points at the moment.
Risha on the back of Stinos. Well, I mean,
Jack now driving through Nick Houston and Merckx, which
yeah, that's not allowed.
Maybe not advisable.
Makes you wonder if he's trying to use them for some fastest lap slipstream. I mean, yeah, that's just, you can't quite do that. That could get quite annoying for Merckx because having that ghost coming through you is actually more annoying than people think.
Yeah, a little bit off-putting as Nick Houston is right on the back of Merckx again, just can't quite get it done. Yeah, I should imagine Merckx probably not too best pleased right now with this, but it is what it is, and yeah, he's good enough to sort of try and ignore it as best as he can. Ashtube is making inroads to Volcano, but it's nowhere near enough what he needs, and he's even struggling now to pull out a gap. The 5-second gap on the guys behind him as well. So I'm beginning to think Ashtube's probably going to drop a couple of places at the moment as it stands.
Yes.
Oh, and Jack is in the wall, and he's out.
And then we have a safety
car. Well, this begs the question. We've seen this before around this circuit. It is not a good thing to be on old tyres compared to fresh tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a couple of pit stops here, especially from Volcano. Volcano's in a great position with a bit of a gap back to Ashtube to come in, put on some new softs, because you can be a bit of a sitting duck at the front.
Mert in the pits. Nick Houston into the pits. MDJ into the pits. Lerner Driver into the pits. Here comes got spooked. Volcano stays out.
Continuing.
Probably because he'll get bulked by the double stack.
So this is what's interesting now is I'm going to say this, and I would be willing to put... actually, I was going to say my house. I'm not going to go for that far, but I'm willing to put my car on the line that Volcano is not going to be able to hold on to first place on those 13-lap-old mediums. Yeah, as I say, we've seen it before, and a 3-second penalty for MDJ under safety car, so that's a disaster. Around here before, some very quick drivers on older tyres just unable to hold at the front when it's a late safety car. So yeah, it's sort of a no-brainer really for Merckx and Nick Houston. But yeah, as you said, I think Volcano was a little bit forced into that by Lerner Driver being in the pits in front of him.
Although it kind of makes you wonder if it would have been worth him taking that little bit of pain, because I mean, this is almost sitting duck territory for Volcano. He's going to come out of that first corner and have next to no grip compared to everyone else.
Absolutely. The only thing that could save him here is, I think, looking at where everyone is currently on the track map, it's just going to be a two-lap sprint again, so there's going to be no DRS whatsoever. I mean, I think that the sheer grip of the softs is going to be enough to not, that to not really be a huge amount of problems. But yeah, he might get away with it a little bit, as I say, just from the fact there will be no DRS.
And the worst part here for learner driver is he's got the ghost bot of Alex ahead of him, and we know that AI are notoriously, obviously they are set at a slower pace, which means they're not as great on the restart, and you have to wait to the start finish line to overtake them.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the only thing I suppose Learner Drive can really hope for there is that the guys in front start battling so hard, with it being such a short sprint out to the line, that it means he can catch straight back up with them again. But yeah, not ideal to have that slow Red Bull in front of him.
Whilst we're in a safety car, welcome to those who have not long joined. This is the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 Round 8 from the Italian Grand Prix. We're on lap 25. Volcano is leading the race, but he is on old mediums compared to the rest of the field, who are all on fresh softs. Just looking through. Getting to Sanatani. RPM's F1 Widow. Was wishing everyone good luck at the start, so we can't always catch the comments whilst we're watching the race. The action is unfortunately non-stop. I say unfortunately, it's actually very good that the action is non-stop and it's prepared to continue as we expect the safety car in at the end of this lap. Yes, in terms of the YouTube channel for Invictus Racing League, do subscribe and like the stream. Also, we have 4 races a week. We got one tomorrow around Monza for the Realistic Performance League, but we'll come back to that after the end of this race. We have a 2-lap shootout.
I think realistically, Volcano's going to want to leave this as late as he possibly can to get it going, because I think just the sheer grip from those softs. If he goes before Parabolica, I think Merckx will just catch him up before the end of the straight. So I could see a late start.
No, he's gone early.
Because there he goes.
I think he's done that to surprise Merckx to get the gap. Because obviously the later you leave it, the more predictable the restart becomes. And MDJ's had a terrible restart. He's way down. But Volcano starts this penultimate lap.
3 wide.
3 wide. It is 3 wide between a Mercedes, an AlphaTauri, a McLaren. Learner driver to the outside. Bit of contact with Stinos. A bit more contact. Here comes Got Spooked. He retains that 5th position. And Stinos goes backwards. Oh, a bit of a squeeze through Curva Grande. That was iffy. Reshka gets a second. And yeah, we've missed that. Nick Houston into second. He's now looking at the back as Learner Driver has fallen back through the field. It looks like he's had an incident at the Della Roggia chicane, but we're going to go back to the front because Volcano is ahead of Nick Houston. 2/10 is the gap. Merckx being overtaken by MDJ, so Merckx really under threat. That was tight between Merckx and Nick Houston.
I feel like Nick had to take avoiding action there just from how quick Merckx was coming into the corner. It's almost like he saw him there. But that puts MDJ now up to 3rd, but it's not going to be 3rd at the end of the race because of his 3-second penalty. And here we go. Nick on the Volcano.
It's a game of who's got ERS to play with. And here comes MDJ. He's going to go to the inside of Volcano. Merckx also, I think, looking. Learner Driver has retired in the pits. Having a bit of a rough season is Learner Driver. Merckx does finally get past the McLaren of Volcano. But MDJ, 1/4 of a second behind the leading Haas.
It's very
Not
close now. I mean, will Merck just settle for that, what will be a second place? Or will he want to try and get first? He may be a bit too far back now, though, for that to be the case. I think he is just not going to have the space to do it. And that is someone on a yellow flag in sector one. I think that might actually learn a driver's car.
yeah, zero driver retiring from the race. And I got a feeling Nick Houston's left enough ERS in the tank here. I say that as he's running out of ERS, coming down towards Parabolica, as is Merckx. Through the final corner we come. Nick Houston, he makes his return to IRL here at round 8. And he makes it felt known. He wins the Italian Grand Prix for Merckx in second. Got Spooked will finish off the podium. Volcano in fourth. MDJ will finish in fifth. Stinos. And that looked like a huge accident coming up towards the line.
Yeah, I didn't. That was Bashi. I didn't see what happened, but he very much collided with the wall and ripped the wheel off. Yeah, I suspect the game in its own funny way will probably have him not classified, even though I think he got across the line. I'm not 100% sure.
And there's your podium. It is going to be Nick Houston on the top step with Merckx and Spooked alongside, courtesy of that 3-second penalty from MDJ. And you can see just how much those penalties can hurt, especially on a circuit like this, when, as we saw, safety cars are normally inevitable and they always come at the worst time.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing to point out about that as well, Volcano obviously not ideal wanting to be out at the front there with those old tyres, but he's done great to actually finish in fourth place in the end after the penalties were applied. So, yeah, all in all, I think he was in about seventh or eighth. I think, wasn't he, when the safety car came out? So he's definitely gained there from that.
Bruce, would you like to take us through the provisional race results?
Absolutely. So, winning the race on his return to IRL, Nick Houston in the Haas. Great effort from him with Merckx, the championship leader, in second. Got Spooked third with Volcano in fourth. MDJ fifth with Stinos in sixth. ARL seventh and Louis eighth. Great result there for Louis. Very patient race from him, actually, starting 15th on the grid. Brando managing to make his way back up to ninth. Reska 10th. Ginger Tiger 11th. Ashtube 12th, Bashi 13th, and our retirements for tonight were Learner Driver, Alex, Jack, and Maggot.
Fantastic. So we'll see if we can get Merckx into the lobby. It looks like we might actually get Nick Houston as well, which is really good to see. Merckx has just joined us. We'll come back to him very shortly. Trying to see. Is Nick Houston part of this group? Doesn't look like it. So bear with us. We're just trying to get Nick Houston. Okay. So we'll just see if we can get Nick Houston in. Hopefully he will arrive. But Bruce, obviously, before we get to the interviews, I know Mert has arrived. I mean, that was pretty much everything that we thought would happen at Monza.
Yeah, definitely. The racing was intense throughout the field, and sort of no matter where you look, there was battles going on. As you say, is what we expect to see around Monza. It's such a high speed circuit with the DRS being such a factor, and obviously we had that late safety car there to sort of throw in the mix. It was looking like we were going to get away with it for a little while, but yeah, late safety car, and it just it changes the dynamic of the race completely.
Yeah, and we do now have Nick Houston in the party for interview, so we shall start with him. Good evening, Nick. I mean, congratulations. It's your return to the league and immediately making an impact for winning the feature race. It looked like a very big, long game of patience throughout the whole of that race for you.
Yeah, thank you. I think this was the most intense race I ever did, to be honest, because I didn't really do this game until like a week ago, so I had to learn a lot of things. But yeah, I was just sticking behind the whole race because I had the pace to stick with them, but not really to get too close and not waste my battery. So yeah, Monza's always a bit of a waiting game, and then I think one of the Alpine, of course, was on the medium at the beginning, so I knew when we had the pit stops, me and Merck to probably drive away from him. And then I was just trying to sit behind him, behind Merck in the last few laps, hoping that I could do an overtake. But yeah, then the total chaos started, and Merck had a kind of a moment with the front runner. Then I think it was a McLaren, and then yeah, I was able to get past him, and then the other car had all tires, so that was a pretty easy overtake.
I see. I mean, something that surprised myself and Bruce was obviously you started on the hard tyres and then went to the mediums. Obviously, if there wasn't that late safety car, that would have been the strategy. We were quite surprised that you didn't decide to go to the soft compound. I mean, was there a particular reason behind that, or was it just a case of that was your preferred strategy?
I did one practice run on the softs before this race to see if it was a good tire for both the sprint and the normal race, but I really found that after 5-6 laps it was already not really useful anymore. So I kind of wanted to just end on that medium, and I just really didn't want to drive on the soft in the sprint as well. Maybe in the sprint it was actually the better tire. I think it was close, but no, definitely for the race I didn't want to touch it, and only when there was a late safety car. So no, I didn't really want to get that tire in my normal strategy.
Bruce, you have any questions for Nick?
Yeah, well done, Nick. Great result for you on your return. As JP said, you're quite patient through that race as well. But obviously, you've been away for a while, but you've come back tonight. Are you planning on finishing off the rest of the season and maybe mixing it up at the front a little bit for the to the end?
Yeah, definitely. I'll probably do the rest of the races. I was actually kind of surprised to be in the front. I expected to be maybe a bit behind them, but Monza's always been a good track for me. So, and I have to say the transition to starting this game and wasn't really that hard. I don't think it's that big of a difference compared to the last one. But it's the tires were a bit different, and you have a big drop off cliff at 20%, and I didn't even know what was happening because I was on the hards and they were fine, and then all of a sudden it's so big of a drop off I almost lost the car 3 times. But apparently that's something that's coded in the new tires, so that's all some minor things that you need to know. And now I hope to maybe get some more wins and podiums this season. That would be fun.
So, well, congratulations, Nick, on your victory upon return to the Invictus Racing League. We will move on to Merck. Merck, congratulations. Another podium for you, second place in this race. It looked like in the middle part of that race you were really getting into your stride. You had your gap, and then Nick started to close that gap upon you before that late safety car came up. So yeah, as you say, it's another podium, and a lot of the people that were close to you in the championship, they obviously had issues tonight, and obviously it means your gap just gets bigger. I mean, is it just a case now for championship wise, just keep getting these points now and just let the races, let the races tick over, and as long as you keep scoring the points, then naturally you'd have to think is the championship going to come to you as less points become on offer. Bruce, do you have any questions for Merck?
Yeah, obviously, race around Monza. It's hard to have a race in control around Monza, but you were pretty much at the front for the majority of that race. Towards the end, though, we noticed there was a back marker that was having a bit of a race with you guys at the front. How distracting was that for you? Did you find it a bit off-putting, or were you able to sort of
That was
tune
terrible.
it out?
Yeah, I mean, it's ideal, but to be fair, it didn't last long. It was the ball, so that kind
Absolutely, and I assume actually a similar sort of answer to Nick about that soft tyre, just something you didn't really want to touch due to its longevity. Well, congratulations, Mark, and congratulations to you both for your podiums and obviously Nick Juice on his win. We do have a write-up from Got Spooked, who finished in third. He said he had a decent-ish one-shot quali, considering it isn't generally his sort of track he likes, especially a sprint race with a torpedo from behind at the last corner, causing him to DNF. And he had to start P14. Really nice and eventful. He figured top 5 was the best possible result, but with the late safety car, he managed to stay close to MDJ and take advantage of his penalty. And he had a nice last corner overtake on Volcano as well, so he's really happy with the end result. And to be honest, you can't blame him. From back of the grid to podium, it's a pretty nice race to have.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great comeback for him. And he's sort of up the top end of the championship as well now. So yeah, it's good. It's good for him, and it give him the confidence, I think, going into the last 4 races that he can keep the car up there.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, next week we head to Miami, which, I mean, it's not quite as fast as Monza, but it's normally pretty good for pocket battles. And normally, if you overtake in one place, you can re-overtake in another there. So that should produce some good racing, even though it's quite a tight sort of street circuit style track.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a mix of everything. Miami, it's sweeping at the start, fast at the back end of the circuit, and then you got that sort of horrible Nadgery chicane bit towards the end of the lap as well. So, yeah, it's completely different beast, obviously, to what we witnessed tonight. But yeah, it would be interesting to see who adapts to that best. And obviously, the danger of the street circuit is the walls, so I'm sure we'll see a little bit of action with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's one thing to very much look forward to. But that's all the time we have from Tier 1. We hope you've enjoyed the stream. If you have, do make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. We do have more racing this week, more racing for the remainder of the season, for Season 18. Tomorrow we do have the Realistic Performance League from Monza for their 8th round. It's going to be cracker. They obviously no qualifying, just a sprint and a feature race. And that is brought to you by Malc and Mikey. And next week, obviously, we're all coming from Miami. On the Monday, you'll have Tier 3 brought to you by Joe Hamster and JP911. Tuesday, you'll have Tier 2 brought to you by Jack TM53 Synopsis and Official Xerox. And we'll be back next Wednesday for Tier 1 from Miami. And as the season gets near the end, it's sure to have the racing heat up. As we come towards the close of Season 18, just 4 rounds to go. But from myself and Bruce, thank you for watching tonight. You've been watching the Invictus Racing League in partnership with Venturi Studios. We hope to see you on the next Tier 1 stream. We hope to see you tomorrow for a realistic performance. Good night.